Hello everyone, welcome once again to the ECN Leadership channel. It's good to be back, so welcome and thank you for all your comments, for all your subscribing, all of those that have been hitting notification bells, and for all your feedbacks. They are quite very exciting to see. So just like we said from the last session video that we had, we have moved into a core leadership channel, and the whole aim is because this is what the world needs right now. The world there's a huge gap of leaders in the world, and I speak reference now to Africa. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the whole Pan-Africanism, Pan-African movement being there's a surge or a resurge of it, an awakening, so to say. Because Africa is actually the continental part of the world that has that large gap of leaders, because a lot of our leaders have in time past understood leadership from a very different perspective. Definitely from a very selfish perspective. We understand that many of them want to fill their pockets for generations yet unborn and secure their futures, but they have forgotten that the core foundation of leadership is a call to service. And I usually like to make this reference when you look at the House of Senate or the House of Reps or the Congress, as the case may be, depending on the country or part of the world that you're watching from. When the leader of the Senate or the House of Reps or the Congress is chosen, he is actually one amongst equals. That's what they call themselves. So he's just one that is chosen for a time as that to lead the others, but he's also one of them, but he's only chosen for a time as that to be able to lead. So he has a lot of privileges, he has a lot of attention, information at his disposal, which many of the members will not have, and so they depend on him based on the information and the insight that he has gotten, which they do not have sometimes, maybe not open to them to some reasons. He takes strategic decisions to be able to move not just himself forward, but the whole body forward. So what we have seen in Africa in time past is that we've seen leaders take decisions to move themselves, their pockets, and their families forward at the detriment of the whole population. So I speak of this now, narrowing down now to the private sector, among teams. There's always a season like this, and I want to now drill down to the focus of today, which is which leadership skill or trait do we exhibit in terms of the crisis management. Crisis management. A lot of African leaders right now are under a lot of heat to be able to prove themselves. So crisis management, if you're a true leader, then this is the time to actually show the stuff that you're made of. So in a private, the scenario I would like to paint this time around is from a private perspective. A team of about 20 staff members that are located maybe in a particular country, and they have their headquarters somewhere in the overseas, maybe in the West, and they are operating a special kind of model. So now I make reference to the time of COVID. You remember COVID hit everybody hard. It was global. Nobody was really spared from it. Businesses were hard hit. The whole cycle, financials, expectations had to be rebooked and resurfaced. So what do you do as a leader? Because now it's a crisis management in a two-way perspective. Firstly, you need to be able to assure the leaders, owners of the business, from the head office, that this business is worth keeping post-COVID, so that we can pick up broken pieces and begin to move forward again. And also you have a local team, which you also have to ensure that nobody loses steam or loses morale. So this is a huge crisis. Now as a leader, what kind of leadership traits would you exhibit? What kind of leadership potentials in you would you have to exhibit at this point in time? Again, for me, this is purely a full motivational or inspirational kind of leadership traits, which for me I operate in very easily, because this kinds of situation, crisis management, does not require any other, no authoritarian kind of leadership skills required in this point in time. You need two things. Number one, assure the leadership that the business is worth keeping, and secondly, on the local side, you need to be able to assure the local team and keep the morale up. So the question, how do you do this? So again, I go first, and then as you see the video, please comment, have your own small write-up on how you can also challenge, critique my style. I'm open to criticism, so we could learn and grow together. So for me, the first part will be, as I said, it's two-way. Okay, let's focus on the local team. For the local team, again, we need to refocus on the purpose. The purpose is always very critical. Why do we do what we do? We are maybe selling ICT materials, and in this time of COVID, remember that everybody has gone on the e-platform. So if our customers did not get this resources, they are unable to be able to connect, and then families, businesses, the whole ecosystem is not jeopardized. So you need to refocus back on the purpose, because the team needs motivation now. The team needs to be inspired now. They need to have a reason why they should wake up every day. Remember, during COVID, everybody probably had to work from home. So the question is, what will make you want to get up from bed every morning to be able to sit in front of your system, engage with the customers? Because for then, a lot of businesses had a CRM system whereby we could still engage with our customers, but from an e-platform. So if that was the case, how do you ensure that team members, now you can't monitor them on the field, now you probably will not have a real way of really getting to know whether or not they did perform those calls and stuff like that. So the question is, you need to be able to resurface the purpose. Guys, I do not think it's a good idea to bring to the fore that, guys, this is an emergency situation, the business is about to close. You will frighten everybody into a panic state, and many will just think about jumping ship. Guys, this situation is global. One, it's not affecting only us, it's affecting the whole globe. So numbers across the globe have been affected. Even at the head office, they have had their numbers resurfaced. So we are not a different case. The only thing we need to do now is that we need to show that we have what it takes to keep the business afloat. Yes, the numbers will be impacted, but we need to now agree on what is the worst case scenario that we're going to land the year with, or half year with, or the quarter with, as the case may be. Do your financial forecast and the whole stuff like that, and be able to place on the table that this would be the worst case scenario. Get the buy-in of the team that this is the worst case scenario. And how do you achieve this worst case scenario? This and this and this are the things we need to do. We need to continue to do our 10 doctor calls a day. We need to continue to do our 10 customers a day, this and stuff like that. We need to be able to send our customers, call them on the phone, pick up the call, send them emails, stuff like that. That whole process needs to continue. But now they need to understand that it is possible to save the business, and that it is not just a local scenario but a global scenario. And so if that is the case, then we can be able to rejig these numbers and be able to catch up these resurfaced numbers that we have now put out there. So once they get that picture, they know that, okay, it's not a sinking ship situation. And so everybody is now really geared up on how to continue and how to push forward. Great. And then on the part of leadership, the leadership, as I said, also it's a global thing. Head office numbers were also affected, so they had to also rebase their figures. So you need to paint to the leadership, maybe through a business case, or as the case may be, to motivate them and let them know that closing the business will not be a good idea, because nature abhors vacuum. Once you close the business, competition takes over, market share drops, and even you have to come back a year after or post-COVID, you will have to start from ground zero again. And one of the most challenging things to do for any business, you all know, all entrepreneurs know this, is to the takeoff, the place where you have to run on the wrong way before you take off. It's always the hardest of any business. In fact, many businesses are defeated at that point in time. So if you have to come back to restart the whole business again, apart from the financial implications, there's also the market forces that are already on ground, having to grapple with to be able to establish yourself and regain back your market share. A lot of things will go into it. However, you can assure them that, okay, and this time of COVID, we're going to have to reduce our expenses. Thankfully now, we're not moving around, we're not spending more money, maybe on transportation, on flights, on meetings, as the case may be. We could crunch all those numbers and say, we're going to put this down, reduce our running expenses, reduce our OPEX. By so doing, we are not making the numbers that were promised from the beginning of the year before COVID, but we have reduced our expenses this much, and then these are the numbers that we are able to achieve. And with these numbers, they might not be what it takes to keep the business afloat, but at least we have been able to close in that gap, reduce expenses, at the end of the day, working expenditure, and then reduce the numbers to be able to match that. If we need to trim the team, as the case may be, if that is an option, then we begin to look at those options in it. But closing the business out really would not be a very good suggestion. And definitely management will buy into this because they also were affected. They see what is going on. It's a different case scenario if we have a scenario whereby it's just a local team that was affected in terms of, we might take up that scenario at another time. Yeah, so that is how I will go about it. So again, let me know what you think on the comment section. Kindly critique this style of leadership response. Do we have this kind of crisis situation? And then let me know what you think so I can keep the conversation going. So thank you very much for joining once again, and I'll see you very shortly. Thank you. Have a blessed week. Bye.